We're going to be going into the book of Isaiah, chapter 33. This subject of change. I guess I really don't have to say much more about it, but I'm thinking change helps us to maintain or to get more stability of God in our life. Change can be for a good thing, and especially for the household believers. Last time Rita and I had a day off together, which I think was, I don't even remember. We were reflecting on our past 18 years of marriage and the changes that have taken place that eventually got us here in Florida. And some of those changes were circumstantial. Those are the worst because unforeseen changes, they always require quick thinking and planning that interrupts your peace and brings about challenges that you weren't prepared for. But then there are those changes that were planned and well thought through to minimize the challenges so that we knew that the peace would once again prevail. As Rita and I grew in the Word, it seemed like those changes became more frequent. We averaged a move about every 2 years for a while. We just couldn't stay put. It wasn't that we were unsettled and therefore believing to move every 2 years. It was because we wanted a more stable environment that provided jobs and a home that would be safe. It'd be a safe haven for us and for those who shared our love for the Lord, to feel blessed like we would when they would come over to our home. Rita has this wonderful ability to make any environment a peaceful environment, that's for sure, and a joyful one. But other factors help her to do that even greater. And the community we choose, that's important. The neighbors we keep and the benefits a city or a town offers. And of course, an environment that allows the peace of God to rule. And in all this, we've learned to be adaptable, to be more aware of our surroundings, and to keep God first, especially when another change is in the forecast. And as we were discussing the changes that took place in our lives these past 18 years, it got me to thinking how God worked so hard to help us get to where we could really feel a genuine peace and feel like we have stability. If we stay faithful to God, God stays faithful to us, so that we have His stability in our lives 24/7. Before I got into the Word, I was always very comfortable in just keeping a low profile and being by myself, not looking to change my environment or my mind, for that matter. And about any issue of life that required me to change, I didn't really see any reason why we needed to do that. I was happy. I had my happy place. That happy place was in the state of Maine. And I was there for a few years, and that's where I actually got into the Word of God. What baffled me is that when God said in Malachi 3:6, I am the Lord and I change not. And then in Hebrews 13:8, he said that even his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if God doesn't change and his Son, Jesus Christ, doesn't change, and they work in me, well, why do I need to change? Well, my answer was, I'm happy where I'm at, and God, just make me happier and I'll be happier. It took me a while to figure that out, because I got to know the stability of God's Word. I got to see why I need to change until I reach that stability that God has, and to be able to abound in any situation while everybody else is falling apart. Then I was taught this great lesson in Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6. And it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be absolutely the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear or respect of the Lord is his treasure. When I heard the teaching on this verse, it changed everything for me. Wow, a change. I started changing my thinking. We have knowledge, it says, and knowledge is to become thoroughly acquainted with, to know accurately and with certainty everything you need to know about someone or something. Then we have wisdom, which is applying that truth that you know and expecting to get the right results. Then we have stability. That means to have strength. That's mental and physical strength, firmness, solidity, and not afraid to take on the challenges of life. Great as that. And fear, the respect of the Lord, takes it all over to the top. For his stability and for his grace and mercy to teach you how to be stable always. So, was I really happy with my happy place? As much as I thought. God showed me what a real happy place is and why it is always happy. In this same chapter, God describes the city of Zion as the true happy place for its day and time, for the household of believers. It's happy because God keeps it stable, and you walk in it with sure footing, and you always know where you are, and you have no fear of anything. Let's look at the context of this chapter and see what leads up to this wonderful verse 6. Chapter 33, verse 1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. What kind of edifying word is that? The truth of the matter is that is the vicious cycle of life. It just keeps going over and over and over again. And people are pointing fingers at everybody else. You're responsible for this. You made this happen. It's just an endless, vicious cycle. This is the cycle of life. This is the real world. You might say a few things about this kind of life, like, life sucks. Or, well, you reap what you sow. Or, I feel lucky today. Or, I'm down on my luck today. Or, that's my fate. I mean, I can't change or control the way things happen. That's just the way it is.
Control.
That verse says, whoa, 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 unto thee. That is a big whoa. Surely you have not experienced the stability of God. Without that stability of God, life is an endless, vicious circle. And people can't figure it out. They don't know what's going on. Look at verse 2. Oh Lord, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble. How about this cycle of life? This is God's cycle of life. This is much more orderly and much more peaceful and restful. Living in God's life cycle will be full of grace. You know it will be worth the wait, even if you have to. God's arm of strength and protection is there every morning and spares you and keeps you safe in times of trouble. Now, verses 3 and 4 continues on with the fruit that's produced in this vicious cycle from chapter 1. Oh, at the noise of the tumult, the people fled. At the lifting up of thyself, the nations were scattered. And your spoil shall be gathered like the gathering of the caterpillar, as the running to and fro of locusts shall he run upon them. Oh man, when does it stop? When does it end? It doesn't. That's the cycle of life. It's very, very confusing. Where is that true happy place? In this day and time for Israel, it was Zion. Look at verse 5. The Lord is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness. Zion was the fortress of the city of David, the hill in Jerusalem that was the key military vantage point. And figuratively today, we are the true Israel of God, as it says in Galatians 6:16. Zion indicates a happy place, a stable place where God's people have peace and refuge, and most of all, stability wherever they live and wherever they choose to go. If change is necessary in order for us to get to Zion, then it ought to be welcomed. And it ought to be the desire of our hearts to get there. Thank God that his cycle of life even recycles itself. It is so perfect and stable in every way. And there is no hypocrisy. There is no confusion. There is no uncertainty, no instability when it comes to thought and action. It is so unlike the cycle of life in verse 1 that is the world that we live in. Isn't that wonderful to know that we don't have to be in that vicious life cycle anymore? This chapter continues to compare the two cycles of life and the fruits they do or do not provide and produce. God warns those cities surrounding Zion that if they dare to try and bring desolation to God's people in Zion, they will be met with God's mighty power and left in total ruin. So don't mess with God's people. Let's get down to verse 15. Here's what living in the city of Zion brings to the faithful. He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despiseth the gain of oppressions, that shaketh his hands from holding of bribes, that stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil. It's just being peaceful. Why do we have to take on the world's worries and concerns? We don't. Our concerns are, what does God say? What does God think? What place would you have me to be? Look at verse 16. He shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munition of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His water shall be sure. I love that munitions of rocks. These were huge stones that surrounded the city. They were impenetrable. No weapon could knock those rocks down. Those people were safe behind those munitions of rocks. Look at verse 17. Thine eyes shall see the king in his beauty. They shall behold the land that is very far off. You will see God. You will see God because you will know him. You will see God and you will see his vision for you. He will show you those far off places. Sure, they're far off now, but before you know it, you're going to be in them because God is going to guide you there. He's going to take you there. Look at 18. Thine heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is he that counteth the towers? No, we're not going to sit around meditating terror. What that means is you will remember where you came from. You'll remember the terror you lived. You'll remember that vicious cycle of life that you were in at one time in your life when it just wouldn't stop. It says in the word that the adversary is relentless. And I feel sorry for people who are not in Zion, because it's just a vicious cycle. You'll remember where you came from, and you'll be thankful that you are no longer caught up in that vicious cycle of life that the world revolves in. You will no longer suffer through persecution or be treated unfairly. Look at verse 19. Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of a deeper speech than thou canst perceive, of a stammering tongue that thou canst not understand. Isn't that the way of the world today too? So much speech, that big words, big phrases, trying to deceive people, trying to make them think that this is right and it's wrong, or this is wrong and it's, you know what I mean? You know what's going on, especially with words today. They're very, very, it's totally mixed up. But this is another part of that vicious cycle. It's even in words. People can no longer sway or confuse you with their words. You have the word of truth that filters those words and separates that truth from error. What a power that is, especially in this day and time when there's so much deception in words. What a wonderful deliverance that is, to be able to separate truth from error. Look at verse 20. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thank you.
Okay.
Thine eye shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes, not one of the stakes that shall not be taken down. Shall not one thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. That's a pretty solid place. You will feel safe, and life will be stable for you in every way, because you know you have that security. You have God's safety and God's security. What a wonderful place to be. Verse 21. But there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall go no galley with oars, neither shall gallant ship pass thereby. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, he will save us. And thy tacklings are loosened, they could not well strengthen their mast, they could not spread the sail. Then is the prey of a great spoil divided, the lame take the prey, and the inhabitant shall not say, I am sick. The people that dwell therein shall be forgiven their iniquity. Every burden you've ever had to carry has been lifted. You are free to live life abundantly. You have found that real happy place, that place where God dwells. I read the words of a recent philosopher of our times that spoke loudly to me regarding change. And he said, you don't fear change. You fear the unknown. If you knew the future would be great, you welcome the change to get there. Well, in God, the future is great. How about to improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. If you've been entertaining a change in your life, it's probably God working in you. He's working in your heart to will and to do of his good pleasure. And as long as we're staying faithful to God, he stays faithful to get us where we have more of his stability in our lives. I love what Rico Magnelli recently taught, that faith in God is equal to being a partner with God. He gives you a vision, a goal to reach, and then he partners with you to get you the results. Wonderful stuff. Change for us is good. It's a good thing. And we want that stability, and it's always available to us. And it's great if changes in environment, changes in way of thinking, whatever it is that makes you feel like you're home and you're in Zion and you have that munition of rock surrounding you that nothing can get at you. It's a wonderful place to be. So let's continue to stay faithful, and let's continue to dwell on Zion, where true peace, comfort, and stability abounds. And if you haven't found your Zion yet, get there. Love you guys. Bless your heart.
Thank you, Charlie. That was great.
Thank you, Charlie.
You guys all stable now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good.
Charlie, who was that quote by? You don't fear change, you fear the unknown.
You'll have to look that up on Google. I looked up quotes about change, and that's where I got those quotes, but I didn't get the name of the gentleman that actually said that. But if you put those words in, you should be able to find out who
Okay.
said that.
Thank you.
So
That was good, Charlie. It's good reminder that it's the world, it's out there that change is hard and it's harsh and it's bad. But God's change isn't. It's easy. It's easy to be entreated. He's got everything right there for us to just soak up. So thank you.
that was really great. That's a great way to look at that. That's absolutely right, Lisa. You know, people know in this vicious cycle that they need to change. Something's got to change, but they don't know. I guess they don't feel like they're responsible. Everybody else is responsible. Our government's responsible. Your local governor's responsible. Like your boss is responsible. Somebody is responsible. So who keeps making us do this? And they never really look into themselves that you're actually part of the problem. So, it is, and I can think of days in my life, in my past, when I didn't know God, when I could say the same thing. Man, life really is a vicious cycle. I don't know what's up or down anymore. It's very confusing. Thank God that he delivered us from that. That's a scary place to be. No, I don't want it. Thanks, Lisa.
Charlie, you know, I think I years ago come to realize that one of the reasons people fear the unknown is because of the expectations of what the world has rather than the expectations what God has. Times when we didn't know what was going on, but trusted God, we didn't fear it. We were very excited about it. Like when we moved to Florida, there was just no fear, and there's no fear in believing. We were believing that God was going to take care of everything. And we just kept getting rid of more and more stuff because we knew God would take care of it. But that fear of the unknown is a real big thing for people that live in the world and don't know God. And so part of that, giving them understanding that they don't have to fear, that they can accept or be excited about. The more they know of God, the more they'll be excited about what they don't know. And the more we know, the more we know, the more we realize there's a lot more, God's even bigger, right?
Wow. You guys have really been listening to this. You got some great insights here. You're right about that unknown. You already don't know what's going on in this vicious cycle. And then you're telling me to change. Well, wait a minute. I don't know if I want to change because I don't know if I want to be like that guy. I don't want to be like that group. I don't know what I want to be anymore. You're right.
Well, think of the saying, you know, I think, well, it could be worse. Well, you know what? It also could be better.
Yeah. It's really, and also the great point about that too is when God found us and we found God, and God said, look, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to help you to change, but I'm going to do this in a very wonderful way that you won't even know what I'm doing. You're just going to change, and you're going to see some great things. And we trusted that. And I'm so glad we did.
Charlie, you started off with verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And
Yeah,
I think about how the world has changed just in our own lifetime. You know, it's
sure had.
the world is not the same as it was when we were children. And it just reminds me of how important it is to keep our eyes fixed steadfast upon God, because the world is always going to change. It's on a
Yeah.
change treadmill, you know,
Yeah,
but keeping our eyes fixed steadfast upon God, you can't go wrong. I think of, you know, the children of Israel in Egypt, you know, and how even during the 10 plagues, when there was darkness throughout the whole land, the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
yeah,
You know, that we can always be the exception because we are God's children and he promised to take care of us. So
Right.
I'm banking on that, you know. That's where my trust lies, that
man.
God
You
is a
guys got-
faithful father.
You guys got some great insights on this. This has been really, you're really expanding this subject, which is, I guess, probably why it really inspired me, because I really feel sorry for people who don't have God in their life. And I really feel sorry that people are caught up in that vicious cycle and they don't know what to do. But they have to do what you and I did. They just have to get honest with God and just say, I don't know who you are, but I want to know you and I want to get out of this cycle. Can you help me? Please, please help me, God. That's all he's asking, is just ask the right question and I'll get you out of this. It's wonderful. You guys got some great input here. We should have all put this teaching together. Man, this is going to be a seminar. That's going to
Again-
change